In this video, I will be continuing my series of reviewing every Rammstein album, and in this review will be for their album Rosenrot. I'll get some background on the album and I'll talk about the song meanings. This is their fifth album, released on October 28th, 2005, just 1 year after the previous album Rise or Riser. The original album was actually called Rise or Riser Volume 2, so in other words, this is like Rammstein's like reload album, you know. The cover is the same as the Japanese version of Rise or Riser. The album has 6 songs that were originally intended for that aforementioned album. And so let's talk a little more about it. So pretty much the sound, they're starting to change their sound a little bit. So they're starting to move away from that like heavy thrash metal sound into more of like this atmospheric sound. But they still incorporate the heavy guitars, but a lot of these songs have more of that like atmospheric or like a modern rock quality. So I'll talk about the songs. The first song is called Benzine or Gasoline. This is actually the first single and actually their first #1 single. They achieved that milestone in the country of Finland. Now the music video shows these guys like dressed as firefighters. They're kind of like all sitting around. Then they get into this big fire truck. They go on a call and they're like driving and knocking over trees and stuff. And this guy has a fantasy about saving a woman. They crash the truck and then they want to like save this guy from a trampoline, but it breaks and then like the guy, we assume he falls to his death. But anyway, the song uses lots of like electronic sounds and like heavy chords and, you know, creates like this atmospheric wall of sound. So it's kind of like a different sound for the band, but pretty cool opening track. Next is Man gegen Man or Man Against Man. This song has a lot of like homosexual undertones. It's about like homophobia. They do have a music video. It was very graphic. It does have the band, you know, mostly without any clothes. And the song does have more of like a modern rock feel, kind of focus on the electronics and other sounds. They use like heavy guitars more sparingly in the song, and then they kind of like come in and out of the song. And there are a few cool like atmospheric passages, and kind of balances like the heavy and light very well. Next is the title track Rosenrot, which means rose red. This was the second single, actually originally meant to be like the first single of the Rise or Riser album, but the song is about a man. He has a lover. She asks him to get a rose from a mountain, and the guy just ends up falling to his death. So in the music video, like the band is dressed as like traveling monks. They come to a village. And, you know, one of the monks, Till Lindemann, he kind of falls in love with a girl. She asks him to go to her house and then kill her parents. He does that. The girl alarms the girl alarms the villagers and Till gets burned at the stake. So the song has a modern rock feel, has the bass guitar intro, and it kind of carries the first verse. And another song with a heavy guitar seemed to come like in and out of the song. Next is Spring, which means jump. It's about a man. He goes to a bridge to kill himself, and people just kind of like stand and watch, and like eventually like somebody pushes him. So it has like a slow atmospheric intro, one of the heavier songs, some chunkier riffs before the first verse, and kind of uses this like dark and atmospheric tone. And there are lots of layers of sound in this song. Track 5, Woe Beast Do, Where Are You? This is Rammstein doing a love song. Reminds me a lot of 9 Inch Nails, the heavy use of the industrial and electronic elements. The slower song, more emotion. The guitar seemed to be more in like the background, and the keyboards kind of more in the forefront. Track 6, Strieb nicht vor mir, Don't Die Before I Do. This one has you know, 2 female singers, Charlene Spiteri and Bobo, who actually sung on the Enkel song from Sehnsucht. It's a love song, half sung in German, half sung in English. It's a ballad with acoustic guitars and electronics, and this is my favorite song from the album. I really like the balance of the male and female vocals, as well as like the German and English. Track 7, Destroy. Actually, track 7 is Zerstören, or Destroy. The song starts with a Middle Eastern chanting, heavy guitar riff. This has a style similar to the early albums. It's fast and heavy and more of an aggressive edge. They use those modern rock keyboards and they create like these sound textures, creating like this big, like thick, like bass sound. So this is a pretty cool song. Track 8, Hilf mir, or Help Me. Another song with more of that classic sound that has some of that like slower and heavier riffs. You know, the electronic elements are still present. The song has like this dark and haunting tone. The vocals are really good with different layers of vocal tracks and the backing vocal. The next song is probably the worst Rammstein song ever recorded, in my opinion. It's called Te Quiero Puta. It's in Spanish. That means I love you, whore. It features a singer whose name is Carmen Zapata. I didn't really look her up that much, do much research on her, but she's another singer. And it's just really bad. I'm sorry. It has mariachi music mixed with like their signature heavy sound. The riffs, like the isolated riffs from the song, probably not that bad, but just in general, just very cringy. Now, they have these lines, they're in Spanish, so they say like, entre tus piernas voy a llorar, feliz y triste voy a estar. Now, first of all, it doesn't rhyme, but second of all, I'm sorry, the translation is, between your legs I will cry, happy and sad I will be. Now, just, again, it's just a really bad song. Rammstein and mariachis just like don't mix. So anyway, moving on. Track 10, Feuer y Wasser, Fire and Water. These next two tracks are kind of like slow in like ambient atmospheric. This one's slow building, has some like atmospheric passages, and it kind of builds up, eventually incorporating like the heavy guitars, those like sustained chords, and pretty cool modern rock style melody, and kind of like pretty cool like at the end. But anyway, last track, Ein Lied, a song. Again, slow and atmospheric. This is the closer. It's just kind of very quiet and somber. It doesn't really get heavy. It doesn't pick up. It's just a very like a lot of like emotional soundscapes, and it's the last song. So like I said in the beginning of the video, this is more of like a Riser Part 2. Many songs that were kind of like not chosen for that previous album, so for that reason, it kind of feels like an album like filled with those like extra songs or like the rejected songs. So for that reason, I think it's like a step down from the others, but at the same time, it's not really a bad album. I think they just moved to more of like an atmospheric sound and away from those like thrashy, like heavy riffs from those like first 4 albums. And that seems to be the direction the band is going in. It's not really that bad, but I think this would be like lower in their discography. So that is all. We'll be continuing my Rammstein series, and I only have 2 albums left. Then I will do the new album, which will be a collaboration video with the Chill Dude on the Couch, but that won't be until after the weekend. And then I will be doing a ranking video of all the Rammstein albums, after that at some point. So that is all. Let me know what you thought in the comments section, and I'll see you in the next one.